Hey, so I'm starting my next design team project for SpareMarbles2012 here on YouTube. And like before, I will post all the links down below. So you can go check out her ArtFire store for these mixed media papers that she has that are just absolutely wonderful. What I wanted to do is make a journal. My original intention was to use these prints that I had done to canvas cloth. First, I decided I was going to do something with that. But of course, hello, I've changed my mind. And I have been wanting to try Sheena's faux leather technique. She has a video here on YouTube. She's Sheena AD29 here on YouTube. And she has a wonderful tutorial. So I'm not going to get into how to do that because she does an excellent job explaining it. But what I want to share with you is what I'm doing with these papers. So I want to show you that you don't have to print just to white cardstock. Now this journal, I have printed out all of Diana's prints from her papers. I have just regular white cardstock. This is 110 pound white cardstock. And I printed every single pattern from her collection. And I did it double-sided because what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold these. And this is how it's going to get bound into my journal. So I just liked all the patterns, so I wanted to have it in a journal so it's ready to go and I can just start art journaling. And what I'm doing is I decided, where was that page? Here it is. This is one of my favorite patterns from the collection. One of my favorites. I just love it. So I wanted to show you though that you don't have to print specifically to white cardstock. You can do it on craft card as well. So I have just craft cardstock that I printed this sheet out to, and I've already gone through the process of wetting it down. And like I said, if you watch Sheena's video, you'll understand what I'm talking about. But instead of using glycerin and water as a mixture to, you know, get this all like that, which is part of the faux leather technique, I use this ink refresher from Ranger because it has been sitting on my shelf for over a year now, and I knew I could use this to do the same process here as the glycerin / water technique. So I've already done that, I've already wet it, but this is just regular craft cardstock that I printed this pattern out to, and I like that it's a totally different look. It still has that wonderful pattern in the background, which is going to contribute to this faux leather look, which is one of the reasons I wanted to use this. And yeah, here it is side by side, just so you can see the difference. What a difference. So you don't have to print just to white cardstock. So, okay. So I did that, started the technique of wetting it down, crumpling it up. You really have to massage that mixture into the paper to get it really good and, you know, to the point where you can crumple it up without tearing it. And I love the way this turned out. Another advantage to using these printable papers, like I did here, is that the back side, when I wet it, the underside, the print colors here bled through, and I don't know if you can really see that here on the video very well, but oh my gosh, I love that look so much. So it's adding to the aging on the back side too, so really love that. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, while it's still damp, I have this big Spellbinders embossing folder, and this is one of the really deep, God, I forgot what they call these. I have a whole bunch of them here, and of course not one of them has a name on it. But, anyway, yeah, not any of them have a name on it, so I have no idea what this is. But look at that pattern. So gorgeous. So I want that to be my front cover impression. So what I'm going to do is line this up. And these are really big, too. So I'm only going to have to cut off just a little bit of this, because that's going to be the size of my journal right here. So I'm lining it up, And this is exactly how I'm going to run this. I'm going to fold that part right here, the leftover, underneath so that it doesn't get embossed when I run this through my Big Shot. So while it's wet, I'm going to run it through the Big Shot, and then I'm going to let this dry, and I'll be back. I don't know why I was so concerned about what was going to be going on with the back side of this cover. I thought I was going to skip the lining it with fabric, like Sheena shows in her video. I thought I was going to skip that process and just use this as is, but I decided since I'm going to be punching holes into the center spine, I really did need that extra stability of lining it with the fabric. So yeah, I did all that inking back here for nothing. But anyway, this is what which one's the embossed? I'm getting confused because I embossed the front and the back cover with that folder. Of course, after I ran it through the second time, it flattened out the embossing that I'd done. So I wound up using this as my front cover. So I don't know if you can see that embossing, but that's what that looks like. And I just took some vintage photo and rubbed the pad right over the top so that the impression that the folder had left would come through. So, okay, so what I did is I cut out, and by the way, I have a major boo-boo again. I don't know why I can't be more careful when I'm using sharp objects in my crafting, but I get so caught up in what I'm doing that I quit paying attention to that, to the safety factor. I was using a rotary trimmer, and I don't know how my finger wound up getting caught in this, but I have a tendency to always put my index finger out whenever I'm doing something, and that's exactly what happened here, and I wound up having a very deep cut on my finger. Duh. So just be careful when you're using this stuff. I'm sure most of you are anyway, but that's how addle-headed I get sometimes. I'm not even thinking about it. Okay, so what I did is I cut out a little square, and I did cut a little over the edge so that I can trim this out once it's all adhered down. And this is a Wilmington fabric print called Ooh La La. I just really liked it, so that's what I wound up using on my inside cover here. So I cut the square out, and anything that's left over I'm going to go back with this, only being more careful, and trim it out. And I'm also going to sew around the edges. Once I get this adhered down, I'm going to sew around the edges of this. Okay, so I'll be back after that's done. Okay, so what I did is I cut all my pages. Here's my canvas sheets because I don't have any whole sheets. But what I did is to have the pages fit, because as you can see, this is smaller, to fit my journal. So what I did is I just first cut around. You can do borderless printing, but for some reason my computer did not allow me to do borderless printing. So I didn't want any of the paper to go to waste. So what I did is I just trimmed around where all the white edges were and found one long strip that I could keep in the pattern, like so, that was cut off because I did not want this to go to waste. So I wound up cutting it down to size, and then I have these extra strips right here, and I'll be using those on a journal page. Like I said, I didn't want one strip to go to waste, so, but I've cut all my pages down to size, like so. So as you see, when you fold these into a signature, everything's going to be double-sided. So I love that because everything's all ready to go for you. So I have 6 sheets here of the different patterns, and what I'm going to do is fold these into 2 signatures of 3 and then bind them into my journal with a pamphlet stitch. And then I will be back when all that's done. Actually, this will be at the beginning of my video. It's going to be the reveal video, just showing this all together. So, alright you guys, that's it. I'll see you later. Instead of doing the reveal video at the beginning, like I've been doing, I decided to just go ahead and do this straight through. So, this is how this turned out. So I really am just nuts over the way this turned out. I thought it turned out so perfectly. Couldn't be happier with that. I don't know if you can see all that texture in there from the embossing folder, but oh my gosh, it's just wonderful. I love it. There's my pamphlet stitch. I did a really crap job on the pamphlet stitch, but I don't care. So this is a little bitty art journal. It's gonna be perfect for just doing really quick projects, or pages, I mean. And I did sew a button in. So, okay, let me explain to you what this is. This closure right here, trying not to, that stupid accident I had this morning. I took my Band-Aid off and trying not to open that wound up. Okay, so this is a Tim Holtz, one of those rubber elastic closures. And what I did is I set an eyelet here in the back. It's an extra wide eyelet. I slid the 2 metal pieces up in there so it comes back here. And then I cut out a piece of felt with my Sizzix movers and shapers die and use that, put that down with Fabri-Tac, and then put another little piece of decorator paper on top of it. And just to cover up where the other side of this elastic closure, just so that, you know, isn't seen. So that's the way I did that. And then I sewed a button into the front cover. And I did the same thing, just so you wouldn't see the sewing side of where the button is on this side. I covered that with felt as well, and another little piece of decorator paper. So I really like the way that turned out. Okay, so if you just, you know, want to flip through the pages, these are just some of the patterns in her mixed media collection. So I really do... Sorry, Michelle M. I've just caught myself using the word sew. So somebody pointed out that I use the word sew a lot in my videos, and I told her it's just a nervous tick. I use so, and, gosh, there's some more. There's a couple more there. But I find that when I have a hard time finding my words, which seems to happen every time I press the record button on my camcorder, that I use a filler word, and those are my filler words. But I just caught myself doing it. That's pretty funny. I'm just going to do a flip through just so you can see this. So you can see opening this up, you can just start to work. And what I'm going to do is on each of these, I'm going to use clear gesso and then do further journaling on top of it. So that's what I like about, that is what I really like about these papers. My background's already done. Of course, that's half the fun of journaling too, but sometimes you just want to do something really quick. So this is going to be a really cool journal for me to just do that in. Gorgeous backgrounds. Throw some clear gesso over it and then further do whatever the heck else you want to do with it. Like I said, I think there's 24 pages in here. Beautiful patterns. That's it. And like I said, this will get really, you know, expanded. It'll expand once I get all the paints and other stuff that I'm going to do to this book. So I really like the way this turned out, and I thought this pattern right here was perfect for this project. It was, I couldn't have picked a better pattern for this. It's just absolutely gorgeous the way it turned out. Okay, I will post the links down below so you can go check that store out, Diana's store out, and the other designers as well. And I hope you will check it out. And I want to thank Diana for asking me to do this guest design team projects for her this month. I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun working with these papers. Okay, I'll see you guys later.